Okay, let me pause to talk about transit cards just for a second. So, the Moscow Metro is obviously a very important thing in the city of Moscow. It's how pretty much anybody gets around in the city because the city is big, and trying to walk around as I did yesterday, I mean, I walked I think more than 2 hours to get to Krasnaya Ploshchad, to get to Red Square, which is obviously not something that people are going to want to do every single day. So when you go to the metro, you get a card like this, and the name of it is Yedini, and at first I thought that meant it's a single ticket. So, when I was living in St. Petersburg, they may have changed this since then, but when I was living in St. Petersburg, they still used tokens. So whenever I went into the metro, there was a little coin, like a little, it looked like a coin, but it was only valid for use in the St. Petersburg metro. And you'd put the coin into the slot of the turnstile, and that would let you walk through the turnstile. Here in Moscow, they do not use coins. Maybe they used to, but now they use these electronic cards. So what you do is you hold this card up to the card reader at the turnstile, and then it beeps, and you can go inside. And so, like I said, I thought that Yedini might be. I guess I didn't say this yet. I said it's called Yedini. I thought Yedini might mean it's a single ticket, because Adin is one, and so I thought, okay, Yedini is like single. But no, Yedini means unity, and that's just the name of the card. I guess they call it that because you can see it's not only valid, so that M is the metro. I think the point is it's not only valid for the metro, it's also valid for the bus and for street trams and stuff like that. So I think the reason why they call it Yedini, unity, is because you can use the same card for those different transit systems in Moscow. That's the point. But it is not necessarily just a single card. You can buy it as a one-trip card, which currently costs 55 rubles. And that's what I did at first. And that was stupid. I bought like several one-trip cards, and each one cost 55 rubles. Then I found out you can buy this card for unlimited usage for a certain number of days. You can get it for, oddly enough, you can't choose an arbitrary number of days. You can get it, I think, for 1 day unlimited, or you can get it for 3 days unlimited. So I bought this card for 3 days unlimited travel. If you want to buy it from a person there at the ticket desk at the metro station, you can talk to them, but they usually don't speak English. You can just say bez limit, so limit in Russian is limit, that's easy, and then you can say bez limit, which bez means without. So you can say you wanted bez limit 3 dni for 3 days. But they do also have card vending machines there. Actually, I finally just got this out of a card vending machine. And the card vending machines even have English as an option. So you can press the button for English, and then you get all your prompts in English. So this card cost me, I think, something like 430 rubles, which is, let's say that's like $7. Let's say it's about like $7, I guess, which is not bad, So this is now good for 3 days unlimited travel on the metro, and not only the metro, also on buses and trams. So that's definitely the way to go if you're here in Moscow. Don't do what I did at first and just buy like one-shot tickets, because that's incredibly wasteful. Every time you take a trip, you have to buy another card for 55 rubles. Just get a card that's good for like 3 days unlimited travel, and then you can travel around on the metro as much as you want with it, without having to pay anything additional. So this is what I'll use now to travel on the metro for the rest of my trip here. Just another quick note while talking about practicalities here. I was told that foreigners like me need a registration, but at the hotel, usually your hotel will be the one to give you a registration, and my hotel told me that no, I don't need one. So I don't know what the story is with that. I don't know if that's changed or what. I have no idea. But I was at the hotel reception desk and I said, "Can I get a registration? Don't I need one?" They said, "No, you don't need one." So don't know. No idea why that was the case. But yeah, strange. One other thing I forgot to mention about this card, one trick that they do with these unlimited cards, after you use the card, so to use it is very simple. You just go up to the turnstile where you go in, and there's an electronic reader there. You just put the card on the reader, and then it beeps and lets you through. But one trick that they do is after you use it, it's blocked for 7 minutes. The reason for that is because otherwise, since it's unlimited, you could just use it to let in a whole group of friends. Like you could just stand there and just let in like 4 people or 20 people, or, you know, just whatever, any number of people. So after you use it, it's obviously it's only for you, it's only for one person. So to prevent you from using this to let you and your 10 friends into the metro all at once, after you beep the card once, it's blocked for 7 minutes. So you cannot use it for 7 minutes afterwards, but I mean, you know, you're not going to make a metro trip in 7 minutes anyway. So that's so that you can let yourself in whenever you want to, but not so you can let in a whole bunch of people. So don't worry if, for whatever reason, if you try to use this and then maybe you change your mind and go out and then you go back in again. If it doesn't work right away, don't worry. It's not valid for 7 minutes after you use it, but then after 7 minutes it'll work again. So there you go. So on the newer Moscow metro trains, this is one of the newer trains, they have USB charging ports here, which is pretty cool. And they have this kind of a screen where you can search for stations. So you can, like, say I want to go to, I don't know, Arbatskaya. So I'll like start typing it in here. You can, they've also got an English keyboard if you prefer. And like it'll show you search results here, and I can say, okay, I want to go to this station. And it shows you a map of the whole metro system, and it highlights the station that you type in, so you can see exactly where the station is. You can see all the lines and how to get there. And if you want directions, you can even say, I want to go from here to... Where am I going? Well, right now I'm actually going to hold on, there we go, Между Народная. So I'll type that in, and it shows you the route. It actually shows you, so I want to go from here to here. That's pretty awesome. Nice little service from Yandex, which is basically the Russian Google. It's in almost every way, it's basically the Russian equivalent of Google. So here you go. This is like Google Maps for the metro. That's pretty awesome. Okay, I'm here at the what's called Moscow City. City here in this sense, meaning not the whole city, but the downtown business center. So this is probably one of the most iconic landmarks of Moscow. This set of skyscrapers here, particularly that one there with its kind of copper golden facade. So this is where business people work. This is like the business center where you know, where wealthy business people who work in IT companies and energy companies and financial companies and things like that will come here to work in these business office towers. Just over there is the metro station that I came here from. The station's called Международный, which means international, and it also has another name. Many metro stations here actually have different names depending on which line you're on. So the same station will have a different name for each metro line running through it. So for example, the Международный station here is also called Деловой центр, which means business center. Looking at the traffic here, I think the traffic here is also not too bad, quite honestly. On the street, but up there you can see up there is a freeway, and you can see the freeway is moving pretty slowly. The freeway is kind of backed up. I get the feeling, traffic-wise, I get the feeling that Moscow is a lot like Los Angeles, by which I mean that the streets, like the regular surface streets, tend to be not too bad for traffic most of the time, but because the city is so big, geographically the city is so sprawled out, people tend to take the freeway a lot to get where they want to go, and the freeways for that reason tend to be backed up, like they're clogged up incessantly. So that's kind of the impression I get from Moscow as well, because the streets usually don't seem to be too bad. Like you can see there, and there's not a lot of traffic here, and the traffic that's here is pretty well moving. I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, there might be a red light or something, but there's no real traffic jams happening on the streets. Where you get jams is on the freeways, because people don't want to take the surface streets to drive from one side of the city to the other, so they take the freeway, and that's where they end up getting jammed up. Because if you're on the freeway, you're obviously stuck there. Like you can see back there as well. There are actually two freeways here, it looks like. There's one up there, which is, you can see it's pretty well stuck. And then the one down there is, hold on, where is it? Yeah, back there. There it's also pretty jammed. So yeah, I get the feeling, like I said, that traffic-wise, this is like Los Angeles. If you've ever been to Los Angeles, you've probably noticed it's not too bad to drive around when you're in the city. Like downtown, there's actually not that much traffic. It's just on the freeway. Everybody takes the freeway to get somewhere, and that's where you have to wait like 3 hours in a traffic jam because everybody's taking the freeway. A lot of taxis here. I mentioned Yandex. Yandex did that sort of map system in the metro trains where you can like look up where you're going. Yandex also operates, that is a Yandex taxi there. Can you see the, sorry, kind of, in this bright sunlight it's hard for me to see my viewfinder a bit, but Yandex operates apparently taxi lines as well, which is kind of, I don't know if it's kind of like, I don't know if it's kind of like Uber or what, I don't know. But Yandex, like I said, Yandex is like the Russian Google. They have a lot of the same products that Google has. There's the Yandex Maps, there's the Yandex Translate for translating between different languages. Of course, Yandex itself at its core is a search engine, which works just like Google does. And then Yandex also operates taxis. There's a Yandex Food, Yandex Yeda, which seems to be like a delivery service. Like you can deliver food on Yandex Food and have it delivered, so it's kind of like I don't know, like Deliveroo or other similar food services like that in Western countries. So yeah, this is the business center. There's actually, as a tourist attraction, I don't know how appealing this place is to tourists. I came here just because I was curious to see what it's like, because you know it's a fairly famous landmark. This is something that a lot of people will think of when they first think of Moscow, or this is one of the things that I often tend to see in photos representing Moscow. But the reality is that it's not very representative of Moscow, actually, because this is really just one corner of the city. And it seems big when I'm here. Again, you don't really perceive the scale of the city when you're in any particular place. So like here, this area feels kind of big with all these skyscrapers. It feels like, you know, like I'm in a big downtown core. But this is really just a very small, a really very small portion of Moscow. This is really shoved into just one corner of the city next to the river. Where's the river? I think it's somewhere there. Maybe I guess I can't see it because it's a little farther down, but there's like a river that curves around this this city center, this business center here. And this is all just wedged into like one little peninsula that just kind of juts out into the river. That's it. That's all this is. So this is a very small and not at all representative segment of Moscow. So a lot of people, like I think previously when I thought of Moscow, this is one of the images that would come to my mind, because again, Moscow is often represented using photographs of this area. But don't do that. Don't think of Moscow like this, because this is not actually representative of Moscow. I wonder how many people here speak English. A little. One of the problems that I am having here in Moscow is nobody speaks English. I think I mentioned before, even like the lady at the airport, I went to a restaurant at the airport after I landed here. She didn't speak English. The people at my hotel don't speak English. You'd think at least people who work in international airports and in hotels and things like that, you'd think at least those people would speak English, if nowhere else. But even in those places, people in Moscow just do not seem to speak English. So it's kind of funny. The metro station, like I said, the metro station here is called Международный, International. Wonder if more people here would speak English than in other places. I don't know. I get the feeling at least wealthy business people working for big companies might speak some English, but I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of a nice place to look around here. I mean, it's kind of cool here, but at the same time, I probably shouldn't spend too much time here, because this is, I mean, I don't really belong here. This is mostly a place for people who work here. It's not really a touristy thing. And whoa. That was crazy. a butterfly just like flew right up to me and landed on my neck for a second. I was like, what is this? What's brushing against my neck? Because usually when stuff like tries to land on my neck, it's a wasp or a bee or something, but that was a butterfly that actually just like flew right up to me and started like flitting against my neck. That was weird. I don't think that's ever happened to me before. So yeah, it's funny because Moscow, like I said, it is a very international city in many ways. Like, people here are they're very open to the world. I mean, you see people reading a lot of international literature. I see people reading books from British authors, American authors on the metro. Like, on the metro you can see what people are reading. So the people are reading like American literature, British literature. I saw a guy reading a book by Nietzsche. Now that is awesome. I'm very happy to see a person reading Nietzsche. Even though I'm not necessarily a fan of Nietzsche, but I think at least his ideas are important enough that I think people should be familiar with them. So I'm happy to see people reading Nietzsche here, which is funny. It's not something you'd be able to see in Germany. In Germany, people would want to read like Harry Potter or something like that. And here also, I've heard people playing. One thing, this is what amazed me. This is something that amazed me that I've hardly ever seen anywhere else. Here I saw, or well, I heard, somebody playing classical music in their car. That is something that I hardly ever see. I mean, even in Germany, in Germany people want to play like rap music or something like that in their cars, or some kind of dance or electro music. But here I heard a person playing classical music on their car stereo system as they were driving. That's pretty awesome. So one thing that the Russians really do well, honestly, I think Russians do it better than most Europeans. Maybe not better than all Europeans, but I think one thing the Russians do better than most Europeans is they very effectively have blended the modern with the classical. In many ways, Moscow is a very modern city. I mean, you can see in places like this, in what they've done with the metro system, these new metro cars that have like USB charging ports and integrated map systems and things, you can see they have done a lot to modernize at least this city, but I think also other cities as well are getting, I mean, maybe it's happening more quickly in Moscow than in other places, but at least in most major cities of Russia, I think, there is a lot of modernization happening, but at the same time, Russians are very good at holding on to their classical, traditional history and culture, and that's something that I really treasure, because most European countries are doing either one or the other. Most European countries are either so backward that they're still clinging to their, like most of the Mediterranean countries like Italy and Greece, they're still holding on to these ideas of their ancient history from literally like thousands of years ago, and that's still their image of themselves today. Or else countries are just completely abandoning their history altogether and saying, yeah, we need to be this new technological country that's all about Google and Facebook and Microsoft and Apple, and we have no history anymore. Let's just forget about our history. That's old news now. We just want to have smartphones and the internet, and that's our whole lives now. But in Russia, they do both. They really, like I said, they very effectively modernize themselves while still remaining true to their classical, traditional history and roots. And that's something that I think is really fantastic. That's something that most, like I said, most Europeans don't do very well. Maybe, I mean, some of the most significant and most powerful European countries, like the UK. Okay, the UK has done it pretty well as well. I mean, the UK they still have a lot of great old history, but they're also, of course, a very modern country. Germany, to some extent, as well, and some other countries. But I mean, mostly it's something that Europeans just they're not very good at. Like I said, either they're so backwards that they still think of their pre-modern history from like hundreds or thousands of years ago. Like, you go to Greece, I was in Greece, and Greece still thinks that they're like Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, and they don't understand, no, that was more than 2,000 years ago, that's gone, you're not like those people now, that history, it's gone, Greece is not like that, but they still think of themselves that way. Or Italy, same thing, they still think they're like Dante. No, you're not a country of Dantes, you're a country of something else now. So anyway, okay, like I said, I'm not gonna hang around here too long. I just wanted to see this. I should go somewhere else and see something that's a little more interesting to look at. So I will get out of here. Kind of funny, I'm here on the metro now, leaving that business center. So when I was coming here, when I was coming to that international business center, the Moscow city, the train was packed. Like, there were so many people. And now here, look at that. There's hardly anyone. I don't see a single person back there. So there are definitely places that are busier than others at different times. I mean, the reason there's nobody leaving the business center now because it's the middle of the day. At the end of the day, at the end of the workday, this train's probably going to be packed with people leaving here, but now it's pretty quiet. There again is another set of USB charging ports and one of those little map computers there. Pretty awesome. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. So I'm at the Arbatskaya metro station, which is at the end of Arbatskaya Street, which is one of the most famous streets in Moscow. And it looks like they've mostly closed off the street. Although I just saw a couple of cars go by, so I don't know what's going on here. But it seems like people are expecting something because you've got all these people here. All these people are gathered up against the barricaded street corners. They've got all these not just regular street cops, but like military guys in military uniforms guarding the place. So I don't know what's going on. Obviously, people are expecting something to happen, but I have no idea what. Like, is Putin gonna stroll by here? Or are they? I mean, it can't be the parade. I mean, I would expect a reception like this maybe for the Military Day parade, but that's still in 2 days from now. So I don't know what all these people. And almost no cars on the street. Well, because I guess they barricaded the street. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, something's up. Obviously, people are here waiting for something, but I really don't know what. Anyway, I'm going to try and see if I can. I don't know if this is Arbatskaya Street or if there's a. I don't know. I wanted to walk down Arbatskaya Street. I'll see if I can. It might. I think this is. I think that is Arbatskaya Street there, or the new one. There's two. So there's. Here's. A couple of. Oh wait, here's something. Oh, it is a military parade. All these military vehicles going by. Okay, I see. It is a military parade, which is interesting because it must be prep. I remember somebody telling me that they do like test parades. They do like rehearsals for Dien Pobedi already a few days in advance. So this is I guess like preparation for the parade, I assume. All right. Wow, the tire on the back of that vehicle, actually, the spare tires on these vehicles are very shiny. They must spend a lot of time polishing their tires. Wow, something loud this way comes. That's not the loud thing, though. This is what's loud, these tanks. Dude, those tanks are loud. Who needs weaponry? Those tanks can destroy anything just with their sound alone. I don't know how many vehicles they're going to run by, but I'm not going to stay here all day while they run at every single tank in the Russian military. So I'm going to go on. pretty intense. And this is just the rehearsals. This is 2 days before the parade. This is just like a warm-up to the real thing, man. Anyway. Oh wow, I guess I should catch some of these jets. Wait, where are they now? There we go. Oh man. It looks like a pretty cool cool procession, but I'm not going to stick around here and catch the whole thing on video. I'm sure somebody will probably stream it on YouTube anyway in 2 days when they're having the real live parade. So man, all of that just as a practice run, that's pretty crazy. Anyway, so where are we? We're actually not far from Red Square. So yesterday I came to Red Square from the east side. Today I am on the west side of Red Square, and here indeed is Ulica Arbat Street, which is one of the preeminent, it might be the, oops, dropped my map on the ground. This may be the most famous street in Moscow for shopping. Every major city tends to have like that one street which is famous for shopping, you know, for its stores and restaurants and things. And in Moscow, that's Arbat Street. So here we are. This is like the main kind of shopping tourist place for people who need to shop while they're on vacation. Here you can buy cool Russian hats. I wonder what they cost. I hear they have caps. A nice shapka ushanka with the hammer and sickle on it is always a nice tourist gift for the communists in your life. Okay, here they have a bear. Okay, here they obviously played at tourist stereotypes a bit more. Here they figure, okay, they're going to be tourists here. What do tourists know about Russia? Bears and vodka and snow and Putin and communism. That's about it. So yeah, so this is the old Arbat Street. This is like the classic one, and then just to the north of here, almost parallel to this one, is the Novaya Arbat, the new Arbat Street, which is more modern. So this is more like a classical kind of place, and then paralleling this is the new Arbat Street with more modern, more recent construction. Gotiki tam, the cats are here? What? I saw a sign that said Gotiki tam, which I believe means something like the cats are over there. I don't know. Anyway, so I mean here, not surprisingly, they have typical sort of, you know, American fast food joints. Wasn't sure if I should say restaurants or fast food, and I said rest food. So here's, for example, here's KFC. Oh, is that's the flag of Ukraine, so I'm going to assume that the Ukrainian embassy might be in this building. Yeah, there's KFC here. McDonald's and Burger King also exist in Moscow, although I actually haven't seen them here in the city. They had them at the airport, but I haven't seen them yet in the city. But I know there's a McDonald's somewhere in Moscow, which is like the famous McDonald's because it was the first McDonald's in Russia.
Our store is located at Old Arbat Street, second floor.
There's even that announcement on that loudspeaker is even in English, so there must be a lot. Yeah, must be a lot of tourists here. Staraya ulica, which means old street, which is where we are. Okay, this is nice. A little. Московская песня a cappella. So, Международный музыкальный festival, the International Music Festival. That's a nice little smooth jazz playing here on Arbat Street. That's pretty cool. Here you can buy some. I was going to say these are icons, but these are actually not even icons. They're just like pictures of Matryoshka and cats and things, like cartoon cats. Here's a Delovoid Center, which I believe means business center again. Another business center, obviously not as major as the one with all the skyscrapers and stuff, but a lot of service places here for people with smartphones. I guess that's usual. A lot of people here have smartphones, and you know, you break the screen and say you need to get it replaced. So, as in other cities, I guess it's typical that you have a lot of places that will swap out your smartphone display. Speaking of smartphones, somebody did comment when I was in Belgrade, in Serbia, that I had switched to using Google Maps instead of using a paper map to navigate the city. The reason for that is that I don't own a smartphone. I have a company-issued smartphone, which obviously does Google Maps, and so I'm just going to pause and take a shot of. I find it amusing that here you can buy cardboard cutouts of. So that on the right is the president of China. That's obviously Donald Trump there, and who is that? I actually don't know who that is. My first guess would be the president of Belarus, but I know that's not the president of Belarus because the president of Belarus is that Lukashenko guy, and that's not him. Okay, I see. Here they have Lenin, so. Oh, is that Stalin? It's like, okay, that is Stalin. I think that's. I thought it looked like Stalin, but it was like. It's an older Stalin. You don't usually see Stalin when he's older. You usually see like the younger pictures of Stalin, but okay, so Stalin, Lenin, Trump, and. What's his name? I actually don't even know the guy's name, but I know he's the president of China. Anyway. I'm surprised how quiet it is here, actually, considering this is supposed to be. I mean, there's a lot of music playing, which I actually find quite annoying. But I mean, quiet in terms of the volume of pedestrians. There are actually not that many people walking around here. I expected to see more people, but oh yeah. I was right. I was going to say, just based on that picture there of a person inside a keyhole, I'm wondering, is this one of those escape room things? But yeah, it is. I just realized there are, or at least it partially is, there are English translations here. So it's like a prison escape game, mirror maze, Museum of Illusions, a ribbon labyrinth, maze of fear, petting zoo, giant, that's a giant's house, okay, and then a topsy-turvy house. I'm a little confused by the popularity of these escape room games. I mean, I can understand that they're fun, but they're just such a modern thing, you know, like when you go to a city, you know, you imagine you're in a city with hundreds of years of history. Do you want to see the museums there? Do you want to see the, you know, the history and the culture of the city? Or do you just want to, like, spend a couple of hours trying to escape a room? I mean, that's something you can do anywhere. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just too imperialist to understand, but it seems to me like when you're in a place like this, I mean, again, I have nothing against escape rooms. Sure, they might be fun, but maybe it's something you can do when you're not in a foreign country in like one of the most cultured cities in the world. Oops. Didn't realize that I almost got hit by a van. I didn't realize that street had cross traffic on it. Yeah, I'm actually surprised by how few people there are here, how little there is going on. The street itself is not particularly... what's the word I'm looking for? I don't. It doesn't stand out. Like, I mean, I've seen streets like this before in other major European cities, and I mean, the street itself is okay. Like, it's not bad, but it's just, you know, it's just another shopping street. It's just a street with a bunch of stores on it, like pretty much anywhere else. I'm also surprised how popular kebab seems to be here. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, why not? I mean, kebab's an international thing now, but I didn't realize that Russians would want to eat kebab that much. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead actually and I think turn off the camera here because there's not really much going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera and I will go to... It's kind of cool. You can get like a whole... You can get a whole set of matryoshka with hats on them. Actually, they don't all have hats on them. Just the biggest ones have hats. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shut off here for a second. I'll go to the new Arbat Street and see if there's anything different there, because this street's a bit just a tad underwhelming, isn't it? To me, it's a bit underwhelming. It's just like, okay, it's another shopping street like any other, almost. Not really anything. Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and go to the new Arbat Street and see what it's like there. So here we are. I'm back at the street where they had the military parade. I think this is the new Arbat Street. I think this is actually the Novaya Arbatskaya Street that they've closed off for the parade here. So the military hardware is gone for the moment, and they've got these street sweepers now. They've got all these vehicles to water and sweep the street. I guess in case those tanks left some litter behind or something. I don't know. I guess it makes sense to wash off the street after you roll a bunch of tanks down it. So I'm gonna go. So I walk down Arbat Street on that side. I'm gonna walk down the new Arbat Street now on this side, going in the other direction. I think this is pretty much the same thing. It's still just like a big shopping street. It's just newer. So instead of having like really classic old buildings, this is more modern construction, but it's still pretty much the same stuff. It's mostly, yeah, like restaurants and souvenir shops and things like that. Oh, here's the Burger King. Well, not this. This is Burger Heroes, but just like three signs farther is a Burger King. I wonder what these kiosks here are. Are they actually selling books here? So there are a bunch of these little kiosks here with these designs with books on them. Are they actually selling books here? Oh, they are. Yeah, these are like little These are like little book selling stalls where they sell, yeah, books. And at least some of them appear to be in English, like that one there. 19th century firearms. At least some of these books appear to be in English. That's interesting. I always really like it. One thing that always really very much pleases me about a country is when it's clear that books are very valued. I mean, almost any city will have a bookstore or several bookstores, but you know, when you have like books being sold like this in little stalls on the street, that suggests to me that people take their books seriously. Like in a place like this, you might just all of a sudden say, hey, I want to read about 19th century firearms while I'm having lunch here at Burger King or whatever. And so that's one other thing I like about Russians. They value their books. Books are something important to them, which is more than I can say for some European cultures. Oh, here's the Perekrestok. I think this is the first Perekrestok I've seen here. For some reason it seems more common in St. Petersburg, or at least it was more common in St. Petersburg when I lived there. So Perekrestok means pedestrian crossing, like crossroads, or yeah, well, yeah. You can think of it as a crossroads, but I think a more proper translation is a pedestrian crossing. Oh, look, there are a couple of black guys. See, there are African people here. It's just not very many of them, which I can understand because racism is still kind of prevalent in most of Russia, but maybe it's less so in Moscow. I don't know. Here we go. This says apartments and then a phone number. So if you want apartments, you want to live in this. Oh, I see. These are new residential buildings. This building here with kind of the angle on it, and that building over there, which is built the same way with that angle in the middle. I think these are both residential buildings. Yeah, these are residences. People live there. Okay, I see. Wonder what it costs to live there. It must be pretty expensive, I assume, because these are apartments on the easily one of the most significant commercial, shopping, tourist, pedestrian streets in the whole city. So I imagine these apartments must be enormously expensive. Obviously, enormously expensive is a qualitative statement. I'd like to be able to put a dollar figure or a euro figure or a ruble figure on that, but I don't know what these apartments would cost, but I imagine they must be tremendously expensive. That's all I can really say, just based on their location. But I don't really know what apartments go for in Moscow. I mean, a basic apartment, I don't know. I really don't know what, I don't have any sense of what's the usual salary in Moscow or what cost of living should be. I did see in the metro, there was an ad there advertising, basically recruiting people to work as drivers in the metro, like drivers of the metro trains, which seems like a job which could be automated because there are many metro systems in the world that actually have no drivers now. Like, for example, the one in Copenhagen is completely driver-free, it's completely personnel-free. But the ad there recruiting drivers for the Moscow Metro said that you can earn, in that position, you'll earn, the salary ranges from 60,000 to 120,000 rubles per month, which would have been pretty good money 5 years ago, but now with the deflation of the ruble, that is, let's say that's about 1,000 to 2,000 US dollars a month, roughly, which, you know, is not great. I mean, I guess it's, I don't know. I'm just thinking, what are taxes? I think typical income tax in Russia is something like 20%. So you take 20% out of that and you're left with, I don't know, I mean, 1,000 to one, it's quite a range. Actually, it's a very broad range. 1,000 to 2,000 US dollars a month salary. It's quite a broad range, but I guess it's not that bad. But I mean, just for a train driver, like not any kind of skilled knowledge work or anything, just basically the guy who sits in the train and opens and closes the doors in the train and watches for train passengers and things. I mean, it's not particularly qualified work, so I guess for that kind of work, $1 grand to $2 grand a month, US dollars, I guess that's not too bad. It's not a bad salary range. I mean, you're probably not feeding a family of 5 children on that, but it's something, I guess. What is this? Oh, hey, here we go. I am gonna have to figure out how to cross the street to get to that. So here, close to the end of, oh, I see, did they open the street? It looks like they did, because I'm seeing other traffic here. I just realized the traffic that's going by here is not military traffic. This is just, I think these are just regular cars, so they must have, maybe they unblocked the street because the military practice is over now. But anyway, so I'm close to the east, I think I'm close to the east end of the new Arbat Street, where they were having the military parade practices, and here this is the Moskovsky Dom Knigi, the Moscow House of Books, one of the biggest bookstores in Moscow. Dom Knigi, it just literally means house of books, and there's that bookstore in St. Petersburg with exactly the same name. The one in St. Petersburg is a little bit more famous because it happens to be in the famous Zinger building, which is, or was, I don't know if it still is, but at least it was also the headquarters of Vkontakte, which is like the Russian version of Facebook. So the Dom Knigi in St. Petersburg looks a little nicer, but I think the one here in Moscow is bigger. So here there is like a subterranean passage under the street. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go under the street. I'm going to stop the camera just for a second because there's a military guy there. I don't think he's going to bug me, but I don't want to. I'm always a little conscious about filming people because some people don't want to be filmed. The thing is, people are very. People in Russia tend to be very nervous about all the guards because, unlike most other European countries, here you see a lot of guards. Like, there are a lot of guards and police, and this guy's not even regular police. He's like wearing military camo. He's like a soldier or something. He's not OMON. His uniform says Rosgvardia or something like that. He's not OMON, which like are the really like the SWAT team kind of guys, but. That is something that you need to get used to in Russia. And these guys are not threatening. People get a little bit scared when they see all these guards around and think, well, why are all these guys in military uniforms parading around? It's just normal. It's normal in Russia to have people in military uniforms, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, they don't make trouble for people. They're here to cause they're here to keep the peace. They're here to make sure that people don't get out of hand. So. I know that some people get pretty nervous and they feel like it's a totalitarian state because there's such a strong police and security presence here, but it's not without reason. Again, there have been terrorist attacks in Russia on various occasions caused by various rebel groups. So there is sort of there is a need for a security presence here, and I haven't had too many interactions with these security guards, but they're human beings. Like, you can talk to them like normal people. You don't have to be scared of them. They're not here. Like, see that woman walking into the passage there, she actually nodded to the guy and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he nodded back to her. So, you know, they're normal people. You can talk to them like normal people. You don't have to be scared of them. You treat them with respect, and they will treat you with respect. So you just talk to them normally, or you don't have to talk to them at all. But you don't have to be scared. So, but I don't want to film them because I know that some people are sensitive to being on film. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video just for a second and go under. Okay, so here's the exterior of the Dom Knigy. I'm not going to film inside because some people are very sensitive to filming inside stores. I think I mentioned when I was in St. Petersburg, I was in a bookstore there, and I was in a bookstore in St. Petersburg, and the books were so beautiful. I thought the books looked so nice that I just wanted to take a couple of photographs, just of the covers, like not the text of the books, but I just wanted to take like a couple of photographs of the covers of the books because they were so beautiful. And so I found the guy who was working there. I think he was the owner, and I asked him, can I just like take some photographs of your books because they're so beautiful? And he was shocked. He said no. He was just like, he asked like if I had asked something completely outrageous. So I'm not going to film inside here, but this is the exterior, and actually, funnily enough, in the exterior of the House of Books, you don't see a lot of books, you see a lot of paintings, unless this is a different store. But I don't think so. I think this is all still part of... I think this is all still Dom Knigy, isn't it? Or is it? I think so. Yeah, it is. It's just for whatever reason, they don't have books here, they have paintings. Oh, here they have graficzeskie romany, graphical novels, or graphic novels, comic books. Oh, and here they say the best comics for everyone. Oh, do they actually have... Yeah, they actually have Scott Pilgrim. It's kind of funny. So I'm not going to film inside, but I'll take a look around inside and I'll report on what I find. Okay, so I have inspected the Dom Knigy, which is this building here, and I'm just gonna take a moment to sit down because I'm a little tired. I've already been walking for a while, so I'm here next to this sport bar. Next to the sports bar, I'm going to go ahead and sit down here. There's a nice little park here. I really treasure little spaces of green like this. Like it's really not much of a park, is it? But it's a little area of solace. It's a little quiet place here in what is a fairly active space in the city. Here there's a sign saying dogs are not allowed, which is nice. Here is a sculpture of sorts of Lermontov, which I believe was he was a writer, wasn't he? I think so. But yeah, I really treasure little quiet spaces like this because you know, sometimes you're just really tired and you just want to sit down, just for a little bit. You just want to sit down and get some rest. Oh man, it's really nice to be able to sit down in a place and just have relative peace while doing so, because you know, I remember when I was in Venice in Italy, man, I sat down on a bench like this. Places to sit are hard to find in Venice, and when I found one, within less than a minute I was surrounded by a group of musicians who started playing music and were trying to get money from me for their music, and it's just like, come on man, I just want to sit. I'm tired, I've been walking all day, I just want to sit. Can you not leave people in peace? And here, I mean, I don't think that kind of thing happens here, which is good. I mean, obviously Moscow is less touristy than Venice, but... So, what is Dom Knigy like? Well, I need to say, I think, I've seen a lot of bookstores in my life. I've traveled through Europe, so I've seen the best bookstores in places like London and Paris and Berlin and St. Petersburg, and also several American cities. So, you know, I've seen a lot of bookstores. I've seen some of the finest bookstores in the world, and for that reason, I'm probably somewhat jaded. Like, it's difficult for me to say. I mean, what I'm saying is Dom Knigy is great. Like, it's really a great bookstore, but it's very difficult for me to say, whoa, this is the most amazing bookstore I've ever seen. It's you know, I've seen a lot of great bookstores. And so what I'm saying is, it didn't knock me out of my socks. It didn't, like, floor me and make me say, wow, this is the most amazing bookstore I've seen in my life. But it is a great bookstore. So I think I'm just a little bit too jaded. If I had seen less of the world, and if this was one of the first bookstores I'd ever seen, or maybe not the first bookstore I'd ever seen, but you know, if I had not been in some of the best bookstores of London and Paris, etc., then I might say this is like, this must be what heaven is like. This must be like what you see when you die. But I mean, as it is, to me, it's a great bookstore. No question about it. It is a wonderful bookstore. It's huge inside. They have so many books, and it's well organized. It's actually, they organize them well into good categories, and it looks nice inside. The decor inside is nice. Funnily enough, even though it's called House of Books, it has 2 levels, and most of the ground level is not books. Most of the ground level is, you know, office supplies and stuff like that. People selling papers and pens and globes of the world and backpacks and stuff like that. But the top floor is all books, and it's really nice, and the books are absolutely beautiful. Russians really love beautiful books. That's one thing that I notice. In most other countries, books are fairly functional. You know, if you get a cover, and it's you get a book with a cover, and the cover is just like, it covers the book. It might have a photograph on it, but Russian books often go like all out, and you have these really ornate leather covers with wonderful designs on them, and the book itself is a work of art just from the cover alone. So it's nice. They have great books. They have a lot of books. They have good books. And you know what kind of struck me was people in the West have this idea that Russians are very deceived by their media. People in the West have this idea that Russians are constantly lied to, and that their media indoctrinates them, like, you know, this RT news network, like it just I don't know how true that is. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I saw like a whole section in that bookstore about media lies and interpreting media, and books saying like how the media interprets how the media influences our interpretation and understanding of reality, how to recognize fake news, how to deal with fake news in your life. So I mean, it's not like Russians are that brainwashed. I mean, yeah, the media here is biased. It is. I mean, yeah, RT is biased, but is there any media outlet that's not biased? I mean, in the West, do you really think that Western news sources are not biased? Do you really think that they have no agenda? I mean, come on. It's very clear to me when I read almost any media news outlet from American or British or German sources. It's very obvious that they have an agenda. They have a political and a social agenda that they're pushing, and it's very clear to anybody who is not willingly trying to overlook it. So yeah, it's the same in Russia, but people here are, I think, smart enough to not believe everything they see or hear. I think people are media savvy enough to understand that you can't believe everything you read in the media. Yeah, now there's traffic on the new Arbat Street, so now this is like a typical level of traffic on a typical day, I guess. Well, it's the middle of the day, maybe rush hour gets a bit busier, but yeah. So what time is it now? I don't know what time it is. I think it's probably like noon. I guess I could check my phone. So yeah, I think I didn't finish my thought before about my smartphone. I have a company-issued smartphone, and so when I was in Belgrade, I thought, well, okay, since I have a smartphone here, it's an Android phone, it'll do Google Maps, I might as well use it to get around the city and see where I am in the city, and it was useful for that. I mean, I admit a smartphone is useful, but I would not buy one personally, I haven't bought one personally. Maybe someday I would. Maybe someday I will, I don't know, but I don't have one, and yeah, obviously here in Moscow, my cell phone does not work here check that. I think it would work here in Moscow, but my plan, like my mobile plan that my company gave me, is not cleared for roaming charges in Russia. So if I started using my data connection here in Russia, I think it would cost some ridiculous amount of money. So I'm keeping my phone off here, or well, not off, but in airplane mode. I use the phone because I have a dictionary on it, so I'm using like the Russian dictionary on the phone, and I use it as like a camera and notepad and things like that. I mean, a smartphone is useful, I won't deny, but I'm keeping the data connection off here, so that means I can't use Google Maps or any other mobile mapping system. But yeah, that is what happened with that. So I'm just going to rest here for a little while and get my bearings and think about where I'm going to go next. So yeah, I'll stop the video for now, but I'm really liking my time in Moscow. I really think that it's really not what I expected, in a good way. Like it's a lot better than I expected. I got so many warnings from people saying, you know, it's dirty, it's crowded, it's loud, it's chaotic, everything's really expensive. I guess that's true compared to the rest of Russia. I mean, obviously this is the largest city in Russia, so obviously it does have more people than the rest of Russia. It is more expensive than other places in Russia, but I mean, compared to the West, you know, compared to almost anywhere in Central or Western Europe, it's really not that bad. I mean, I've seen lots of cities. I mean, I think places like London and Paris have worse traffic on their streets. I think obviously it would be, you know, obviously those cities are a lot more expensive than Moscow is. You know, Moscow's not for everyone, but it's a great city. I mean, it really has everything that you would expect from a city, and like I said, it blends the modern and the classical so well. It's such a modern city, and yet at the same time it's such a classical city. It really they've really done a great job with it. Okay, so I was a bit peckish, and I went to a supermarket. What did I buy? First of all, this is the most amazing thing. Check this out. I got kiwi spinach yogurt. No joke. I've never seen such a thing in my life. Kiwi spinach yogurt, and I feel like I have never lived here before. I have not yet lived my life because I have not had kiwi spinach yogurt. Gonna try that. And then here is lychee and white tea yogurt. Amazing. Yogurt with the flavor of lychee and white tea. And then, okay, I got these little mini croissants are popular in Russia. You can get them with chocolate filling or strawberry filling. I got them with vanilla. Oh, it's interesting. It's on this side it's in English, and on this side it's in Russian. You know what, I'm curious what kiwi spinach yogurt tastes like. You know what, I'm gonna taste some right now. Hold on. I'm gonna put the camera down. I'm gonna taste some right now. That is amazing. It is a revelatory experience. I mean, I guess it's just yogurt. It's basically just yogurt with some flavoring. But wow, kiwi spinach yogurt, amazing. Truly, truly, Moscow is a magical place where you can buy kiwi spinach yogurt. I am very happy now. Okay, so I drank both of them. So the lychee and white yogurt, white tea yogurt, I just wanted to try this since I've never had yogurt based on lychee or tea. It's not as good. It's not bad, but I don't know if I'd get it again. I mean, it's definitely okay. It's definitely drinkable. It's definitely serviceable. But I mean, the kiwi spinach stuff, it's highly recommended from me if you have special problems like I obviously do. And then these, well, I'll eat these along the way, but I mean, that's just, you know, it's just little croissants with some cream in them. By the way, what did all this cost? Guess what these three items together cost? All total, 140 rubles. That's about between $2 and $3. Less than $3 for two, what is this? How many liters is this? Is there not? Oh, here we go. Oh, 290 grams. I don't know. You drink it, but it's measured in grams. I don't know. Let's say it's okay. Let's say like close to a half liter each. I don't know. Let's say something like a half liter to a liter of yogurt, and then a little package of croissants for less than $3. That's not bad. I got these from Perekrestok supermarket. So nice deal. I'm here. Okay, this place is not quite so clean. This is like a little parking. Well, this is a construction site. Okay, I'm eating a snack next to a construction site. I probably shouldn't be eating here, but oh well.
Я верю, день придет, светом озарится небосвод, ветер умчит тоску и печаль, сердцу раскроется новая даль, даль, где встретим мы восход. даль, где встретим мы восход.
Любовь — это белая птица.
Just wanted to pause to take a look at this sign here because I find it very amusing that Russian apparently has a term for a school with in-depth study of specific subjects. I guess that's something special. In other schools, you don't study very in-depth. Well, I mean, okay, I guess this is some kind of a specialized school. This is like what Germans would call a Fachschule or Fachhochschule or something like that. I mean, the Russian has a word for university. It's just Universität. So I guess this is some kind of I don't know, some kind of specialized school for whatever. Anyway, where am I? I am standing outside VDNH, which, yeah, it's an acronym, like it would transliterate as VDNH. There's the metro station for this place, which I just came out of. So what is VDNH? It was an expo. It's basically, you know how sometimes cities have like some really huge world expo where there's stuff going on and different countries have exhibits or whatever. This was the site of a big exhibition like that back in the Soviet times. And it was just kind of left as it is. It's kind of like, I don't even know what to compare it to. I mean, I don't know if I've been to any other place that's quite like this. It reminds me a little bit of the Olympic Village in Munich, which was purpose-built for one set of Olympic Games, and then they left the park there. They left all the Olympic facilities and turned it into a public park. I guess it's kind of like that. They had once a fair here, and then after it was over, they said, let's just leave everything there, and it'll be like, it'll be a big public, it's a public attraction. So, I should actually, wow, it's a nice, it's a very nice park over there. Park looks like a good place to sit down and take a break, catch a breather. But I don't know why they have taxis here when there's a metro. I mean, who's going to take a taxi from, I guess, obviously some people do. I don't know why somebody would take a a taxi when there's a metro station just like a few steps away. Oh yeah, that tower over there, I guess, is I don't know what tower it is specifically. I assume it's associated with VDNH, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's separate from VDNH. I have no idea what tower that is, but that's apparently one of the most recognizable towers of Moscow. Here they have people in some big stuffed animal costumes. The person on the right is a bunny. And then what is that? It looks kind of like... It reminds me a bit of... I'm pretty sure that's not what it's supposed to be, but it reminds me a bit of those gremlins from the Gremlins movies, but I'm pretty sure that's not. Oh, is it a cat? Oh, it's a Cheshire cat. I get it. It's just a Cheshire cat with a big old grin on his face. That's what that is. It's pretty hot here. So it's only mid-May. Today is the 7th of May, I believe. Yeah, today's the 7th of May, and it's quite warm. It's yesterday it was like 25 degrees. In Moscow, which is that's obviously 25 degrees Celsius. What is that in Fahrenheit? What would that be in Fahrenheit? Let's say like maybe 80 Fahrenheit, roughly, I'd say. Which is not super hot. Like, it's not scorching hot, but it's pretty warm for mid-May. Those people in those stuffed animal costumes, like the Cheshire Cat costume, they must be pretty warm. Must be kind of uncomfortable for them. Anyway, I don't know what this... What is that? Some kind of thing with a big rocket at the top, but I don't know what it's supposed to be. Anyway, I don't know. I think the main attraction is over here, though. So let's see what's happening here. I do always appreciate it when cities have timers on their crossing signals to let you know how long it's going to be before the signal changes. Obviously, as a pedestrian, it's useful to know how many seconds you have left to cross before the signal changes. But also as a driver, when I was driving cars, I always appreciated that as well when I saw that, because it also signals to drivers when the light is about to turn yellow. That's one of my big pet peeves in driving. One of the things that always really annoys me about driving is when you're coming up to an intersection, you never know when the light's suddenly going to turn yellow and you're going to have to decide, do I stop here or go through? But when there's a timer, then you can anticipate that. What is this here? Oh. I said, oh, because I spotted over there Morozhenue, which is ice cream. I might need some ice cream because I'm actually quite warm here. I'm here in just a t-shirt, and it's still pretty hot for me. I mean, it's a sunny day, the sun's beating down. It's actually, I'm uncomfortably hot here. But what is this music here? Based on Native American kind of rhythms and music sort of sound going on there. I don't know if the performers are actually Native American. They look like they could be, But Central Asian people also often tend to look that way. It's hard for me to tell. I can't really tell the difference between them visually. They might have just brought in some people from Mongolia or somewhere like that and made them out like Native Americans. Who knows? Anyway, so what I read about this place, and I don't know if it's true, I guess I'm going to find out soon. What I read about this place is that it's kind of turned into a flea market. So I mean, it's, you know, they've got this big open plaza, so there's like a place here where people can stand around and meet with friends and take photographs and videos and sing Native American rhythms and things. But my understanding is that there's a flea market that operates here pretty much constantly. I mean, maybe not 24 hours a day, but more or less year round. And today looks like it would be a good day for a flea market, so I think I see something like that in here. I definitely see something happening in here, so let's see what it's like here. Pretty cool archways, man. I'm digging this archway. I don't know who... Oh. I was going to say, I don't know who those people are in that statue, but then I realized I don't think they're supposed to be specific people. It's a man and a woman holding up a big harvest of wheat, or sheaf of wheat or whatever. I think that, I'm going to guess, if I had to hazard a guess, this is just a guess on my part, but I think that's the man and the woman from that famous statue. You know, the statue of the worker man and kolkhoz woman posing together, where like the guy's holding a hammer and the woman's holding a sickle, and they put them together and mix the hammer and sickle symbol. Come to think of it, where is that statue? I don't know where that. I've never seen that statue in person. It's probably here in Moscow. It stands to reason that it would be here in Moscow. So it probably is here somewhere, but I don't know. I actually didn't research it. It might very well be somewhere here, but that's not the famous statue. That is a very similar statue, except here they're holding, like I said, they're holding a bundle of wheat or some other kind of grain harvest, whereas in the famous statue, as I said, the guy's holding a hammer and the woman's holding a sickle. That's probably somewhere that I should probably look that up while I'm here in the city, since that might be kind of cool to see, even though I've seen it. I mean, I haven't seen it in person, but I've seen it in photographs many times, and I'm actually not one of those people who, I'm not one of those people who gets really super excited when I see things in real life that I've seen already in photographs countless times. Like when I was in Paris and I saw the Eiffel Tower, I mean, those of you who saw my Paris videos, you might remember I was a little underwhelmed. I mean, not that it's bad, but it's just like, okay, you know, I've seen the Eiffel Tower countless times in photographs and movies and videos, things like that. To see it in person, for me, it wasn't that big of a thrill. And same with things like, you know, Big Ben in London, the Brandenburger Tor in Berlin, all that stuff. I mean, it's like, you know, it's nice. I mean, sure, it's not bad. I guess it's nice to see it, but it's not like, to me, it's not that different seeing it in person or seeing it in a photograph. Maybe I'm just too, I don't know if I'm just too jaded. Maybe I'm just like one of those millennial kids who grew up watching television and everything besides television is boring for me. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, I do not see anything resembling a flea market here. What I do see is this, which is a display devoted to Dien Pobedi, the Day of Victory. So I mentioned before, Victory Day is on the 9th of May. That's when Russians celebrate victory in World War II. So that says 80 years of VDNH. And this says 74 peaceful years, meaning number of years since the end of World War II. Or again, the Great Patriotic War as it is known in Russia and other ex-Soviet countries, as far as I know. So this is a pretty cool looking sort of I don't know what you want to call it, a pavilion, or I don't know if pavilion's the right word. So here, for each year, you can see the years, there's a line of years listed across there. For each year they've got like a little, not a little, but like a big sort of placard showing, I guess, I don't know if you could say the theme, but at least something relating to, I guess, the day of victory for that year. Maybe usually there's a flea market operating here, but because the day of victory they've cleared it out to make this display in preparation for May 9th. I don't know. So I mean, this is kind of cool. I mean, it's interesting. I like that they really didn't spare on the displays of patriotism here, which is kind of funny. In Germany, you don't see a lot of celebrations of the end of World War II. Although I guess Germans might have their own reasons for not wanting to celebrate that. But yeah, it's nice here. I don't know. I was led to believe it was a little bit different. Maybe it usually is different. I mean, like, obviously this is something they've specially erected for Victory Day. I'm gonna guess that on other occasions, like during parts of the year when they're not getting ready for Victory Day, they probably have some other stuff going on here, other events or gatherings or displays or whatever here in the central area. But so here along the timeline, we're now getting into the 2000s, and they still have kind of an old-fashioned sort of display. It's still, just the way it's presented still makes it look a little bit old-fashioned. And I guess why not? I mean it's kind of an old thing. I mean, victory in World War II is kind of an old thing. Like, it kind of happened before I was born. Actually, before even my parents were born. So it's kind of sort of a historical thing now. I realize there are still people alive today who fought in World War II, but they are kind of a dwindling lot. Anyway, here at the end of that walk, once you get to the end of that, you get this huge building. I don't know what this is. Let's see, what does the text say? Soyuz Sovietsky Socio... Oh, okay. It just says... The text there, under that hammer and sickle, just says USSR. It's the long form of USSR. So it's like not the abbreviation, but the full name. Soyuz Sovietsky Socialny Cheskich Respublik. And here is, of course, none other than Mr. Vladimir Lenin. It's kind of funny, I mean, it's funny how people today still remember the Soviet Union very well. It's kind of, it's difficult for me to kind of understand. For me as a Westerner, it's difficult for me to really understand how Russians today think of the Soviet Union. I mean, obviously it's not perceived, it is not remotely perceived here in Russia the same way that that Hitler's Germany was, or that Hitler's Germany is perceived today in Germany. And I understand that. I mean, they're pretty different. Like, it's Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia are often compared to each other, but they were obviously pretty different. I mean, there are reasons why people remember them differently. I understand there's a significant difference between them, but I just wonder. what do Russians really think of the Soviet Union? Do they really remember it fondly? I guess I already know the answer to that question. I asked that question as if I had no idea, but now that I think about it, I have asked many Russians what they think about the Soviet Union, and I've gotten many different answers. There are people who say, yeah, we're glad to be rid of it, we're in better times now, it's more free now, more safe now, and so on. But there are also people who say it was better back then. So it's really, a lot of it is a matter of perspective. I think a lot of it is probably also a matter of how much money people have now. Obviously, people who have profited from post-Soviet capitalistic financial practices. Obviously, people who have a lot of money from that are more likely to say that they're happy with how things are now. But there are obviously a lot of people who don't have much money now, and those people are, I think, more likely to say it was better back then. Because back then, it was more about the common person. And now today, I don't know, today it's kind of all over the place. I mean, I look at this and I think when I saw this, the reason I started talking about this was because I saw this and I thought it's funny how Russians still kind of glorify the Soviet Union, but it occurs to me, of course, that this is something that was architected and built by the government. I mean, this isn't something this wasn't a grassroots effort. This wasn't something that common citizens just got together and said, hey, let's build this. It is a government project and government built, so I guess it doesn't necessarily represent the opinion of the common man, if you will, or common person in Russia today. Anyway, I hear patriotic music coming from over there. I don't know I'm torn. Do I want to go there and check out the music, or do I want to come here and buy some morozhenie, some ice cream? Maybe I'll do both. I'll buy some ice cream first, and then I'll check out what's going on over there. All right, I'll pause the video for a bit and go on and see what else I can find.